in that huge squad of extremely expensive, extremely talented players with World Cup winners and, you know, record signings all over the place, it's Cole Palmer, who's come in from Manchester City as a young player who wasn't surplus to requirements, or his value wasn't recognised by City, but there just wasn't room for him in the City squad. And he's the one that is pivotal to everything that's happening.
Yeah, massively, and he's had such a core part to play in all of their big performances this season. And I think what Chelsea have lacked in the last few years up to this point is they were always building small little runs of form. They weren't across 10 games. It was like 2 or 3 games, then they'd have a blip. 2 or 3 games, they'd have a blip. Whereas to build this much form across a large period of the season is a real difference maker, because it feels like it's been years since we've seen that sort of Chelsea again. I think that's what feels different about this time. And hey, when Enzo Maresca arrived in the summer, I think a lot of people thought that was an interesting decision, because he'd done a good job with Leicester. He'd obviously got them promoted, but a lot of Leicester fans were frustrated with watching his team because they felt like it was a lot of possession, it was a lot of chances, they didn't have a finisher, they didn't have as much aggression. Now he's got his hands on an unbelievable, even better squad, and I think you're seeing how good a coach he is.
Cole Palmer, whoever it was who picked him out of City, because remember, he wasn't in the team, was it? It's just like they'd be in and out the team. For them to envisage what he's doing now, to say we should get that Cole Palmer from City and, you know, under 23s, and it's genius almost, because you look at the calibre of player we're dealing with. He could easily play in Manchester City's team now. We can't say, oh yeah, but they had Phil Foden there to make a choice. Phil Foden's an amazing player. At the moment, you're looking at form and what someone brings to a team. You know, for him to come to Chelsea at the time he did, with no real games behind him, you know, I'm not talking, and take over a club that was going, where was it? It was going nowhere, really, Chelsea. It was in chaos, and just like, do what he's doing is unbelievable. Yeah,
there's
really is.
So many players in through the doors, but there's now quite a few have gone out, and Maresca has his. So everybody said as soon as he came in, the first big job he has to do is get his squad of, say, 25 players.
I love the way he did it as well. He said, no, them over there, this is who I'm working with. And he was really brutal about that. And look where it's happened.
He brought a couple of players back, didn't he, in the early stages, because he had to with injuries and different things. But by and large, he's stuck with that squad, and it's really working for them. I suppose the question is whether they can sustain it. There's nothing to suggest that they're going to slip up, is there?
Only maybe the lack of experience.
I was going to say the age, but I mean, it's a very exciting, talented squad. They've got some really young players.
But they've got a lot of bouginess about it. They might just do it just because they don't business. You know, you get that vibe from Chelsea, right? When you see when they come off the bus in their gear and everything, you just get the vibe like, we don't care about how it normally goes. This is how it's going now.
I also think how they're
disruptors.
How they progress in Europe and in those cup competitions, because there could be a moment, like Jen kind of was alluding to earlier, where actually it feels like if the Premier League is that much further away, we're going to pivot to a nice European trophy, a nice cup competition. That feels like a natural progression for this squad with Maresca to kind of lean into winning a few trophies.
Can you see them like just doing it because there's no pressure on it? There's pressure on Arsenal. You know, there's pressure on Arsenal because everybody's expecting us to do it now. And Mikel, 4 years, 5 years now, and they're challenging. But there's no pressure on Chelsea. They could just carry on doing what they're doing.
Might be now, though. There might be now, because this is the first time we've talked about them as title challengers, and we won't be not just because we're doing it, but we won't be the only people who are talking about Chelsea as title challengers now. So once that conversation gathers a bit of steam, and they've got Tottenham next week, haven't they? And then, which is always Tottenham are one of those teams that can do anything at any moment. So it just feels like there might just start to be a bit of momentum behind Chelsea.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It's interesting to see, Kels, because, like I say, there's not enough experience in their dressing room to care enough. They know what's at stake.
The World Cup winner.
But I'm talking about for the Premier League, to win the Premier League.
And collectively as well, as a group.
We have to do this. They feel like they're having a lot of fun.
I think a lot of that energy as well is disruptor energy. I mean, think about Cucurella, who 2 years ago was a bit of a joke, and now he comes off a huge Euros, and he's one of the most informed fullbacks, and is so reliable. I think his energy bringing to that and saying, we're actually going to be challengers, but we're going to sort of cause problems and be a bit of a joke along the way in a positive way. I think they've got that energy.
Absolutely.
Like a younger brother sort of irritation.
Yes.
Exactly. And they could cause problems between now and the end of the season. 5-2 at half-time, and as is the way in all of those games, no goals at all in the second half. We could have predicted that one, but nobody could have predicted 5-2 at half-time.
No.
That first half, the majority of that first half performance, how impressive was that from Arsenal?
It's very impressive, and when you consider we're dealing with a time now and the results where, even though it's a London derby, West Ham are not in great form, they can't afford to lose any games now. And so, you know, to go and play in that manner, you know, I mean, it's a bit worrying when it was 4-0 and then they scored 2. I started to get Newcastle vibes, but it was more a case of, no, this team won't do that. And obviously, they're scoring the 5th. But, like, what was impressive is the way that they're blocking out the noise about them being the main challengers, because I think that now Chelsea are amongst that as well. The main thing Arsenal have to do is stay in their lane and win their games. Because, you know, the way Liverpool are going, like we said, they look imperious at the minute. So that was a great result in that, from that point of view. They just have to win the games.
Yeah, there's no room for error now for Arsenal. But they look like they're just in great form. It's coincided, obviously, with the return of Martin Odegaard. Yeah. But it's whether that ground they lost is going to cost them come the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the gap's there. We've spoken about that already, but I think the form that they're in attacking-wise was amazing to see. Some of the goals they scored at the weekend, Odegaard, you know, we all know how vital he is for that team, and the stats against when he's not on the team and how that reflects the way that they play. The frustrating thing was conceding 2 goals in the first half, knowing how dominant they are at the other end of the field. I think that, for me, kind of has to be the focus. Keep as many clean sheets as possible and know that your forwards can go and create and they can go and score.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic sort of recovery from Arsenal, and you feel like keeping everyone fit, this should be something they can continue to the end of the season.
Yeah, this performance and the performance against Forest, I think, were definitely their best of the season, especially considering West Ham has been a bit of a bogey team for Arteta in the last couple of years. They needed a bigger win away from home. And I think it's those non-penalty goals that we're seeing again, because we know that Arsenal, obviously reliable from the penalty spot, really good from set pieces, but it's their creativity from open play that I think a lot of fans and everyone have been struggling to see in recent weeks. But Forest game and this game, you saw that movement come back, you saw that confidence finish from Havertz. I think that makes a massive difference, and I think Wednesday's game against Manchester United is going to be really interesting.
You know, I think as well, Kels, just quickly on a couple of players that really need to, in this time where Arsenal can't afford to slip up unless Liverpool slip up, is big like Martinelli and Jesus, you know, but I think Martinelli, Jesus, Raheem Sterling, I think that this is a really big moment, this stage of the season, for them to step up if called upon to deliver something. They have to.
Do you think they can? I think, unfortunately for me, I just felt like they're 3, maybe Martinelli actually the most out of them.
Yeah.
Sterling, he had a great performance against Preston in the Cup, but we haven't seen what he can do.
This is what I'm saying, Flo.
Jesus has struggled to
but the thing, what needs to happen at different stages in the season, if they're called upon, they have to do it. It's not a case of like, oh, yeah, it's just not quite. They have to do it, because for us to catch Liverpool, if that's the case, and probably try and get away from Chelsea the way they're going, you're going to need something else.
You need options.
Yeah, we can't just depend on that.
Does it help them that Odegaard's back, though? Because it seems to be helping all the attacking. But even Saka, who was doing well without him, is now flying. Now he's back in the side.
Yeah, but he helps everybody, and all that does was, it just shows how great Saka is, because everybody else, you can almost see things kind of fall away with Odegaard. But like with Saka, he continued to do what he does and then improved when Odegaard gets back. But
and look at the difference when he's in the team.
It's like Rodri to City. We lose him and something's gone. Too many things work off of the back of him. He's that main cog.
People always say that, how can one player make such a difference? It's not him necessarily making the difference. It's the improvement that you get from the players around him.
Yeah, and you never really know if that's a feeling or just a footballing perspective, but for him I think it's both. I think the areas that he picks up the ball and the key passes through to Saka at the weekend, it was just beautiful. That's the kind of style of play that we love to see Arsenal play, and he is so vital when it comes to that kind of football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so now the question is, keep it going. Like you said, the game against Manchester United is going to be huge for this, because it's a kind of unknown quantity, and Man United we'll talk about in detail a bit later on. But Manchester United look like they've clicked in some way under Ruben Amorim. Still very, very, very early days, but it's suddenly a new challenge.
Yeah, it is, and I do worry maybe about Arsenal on the break and how they defend those transition situations. I do think on the sort of balance of squad, I think Arsenal's squad is better than Manchester United. I think that's Manchester United's still a big weakness there. But I think Arsenal's home form has been better since they've come out of that little rough patch, but I think there will be that pressure against a very kind of confident team that is trying to shake things up and cause some problems. But Arsenal need to, like Jen said, get back to what was their strength last season, which was they were the best defensive team in the league. They had that foundation which got them so close to the title, and I think they need to keep that going again and build that defensive momentum because they're feeling it and attacking it now.
And that plus their strength from set pieces and you talked about Manchester City lacking physicality. Arsenal tread that line very carefully in their set pieces. They are a very strong physical presence.
Well, it's not even long ago. This is why you can't really listen to too many people. There's not too many pundits I listen to out there.
Just yourself.
Only Arsenal, obviously us. But no, it's when people saying, oh, Arsenal, they've lost something. Remember, they used to have players that could play, and now they've got a lot of physicality. We need the physicality in players who can play. We've got Martin Odegaard who can play. We've got the physicality of a Marino or Declan Rice who can play. We've got Gabriel. We've got Kai Havertz. We've got physical players who can all play. But the main thing, like I say for us, Kels, is after the first 11, it's the people that come in to contribute. That's what it's going to have to be. You know what? Can I just say, with Man United, and as good as it is for them at the minute, beating Ipswich and Everton, you know, Amorim will know that this is a different kettle of fish with Arsenal. I think Arsenal, again, it's a game Arsenal have to win. You know, I think it's a free hit for Man United with their improvement and what they're doing at the moment. But for me, I do believe that, you know, with Ipswich and with Everton, Man United had a lot of the ball and they looked differently. They look different with the ball. They had a lot of it. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be like without the ball against Arsenal. And that is the out of possession Amorim team I'm going to see. And if that kicks in, then, you know, they're going to be a problem.
Go on.
I think you're spot on when you're talking about Arsenal as a whole squad, though. I think we saw that when you're looking at a 5-2 result and it's, you know, 5 different goal scorers. That's when people are stepping up. Whether it's a set piece or not, for me, doesn't matter. You have to be scoring from all areas of how to play football, right? Physicality, style of play, everything. And you're spot on. I think to win a Premier League, whether injuries happen, players have to step up in the right moments, and that's maybe what Arsenal have lacked in previous years. Players haven't stepped up when it's become crunch time. If that happens this year, of course they can catch up.
How do you think they'll cope with being the hunters again this season, chasing down that 9-point gap?
Well, it's unfortunate because, like, I know when we had those mishaps at the start of the season, I did feel very low because I know how tough I thought that we'd have been chasing City, but obviously it's not. It's Liverpool.
Is that better?
No, not really, because Liverpool know how to do it. The thing is that what you realise, being an Arsenal fan at the moment, is that when you're chasing them, you just feel like any loss is losing massive ground. And that's what I felt was happening, and I'm quite pleased we arrested that in respect of losing the ground. But now we've got to try and catch them up. Brilliant to see us scoring the goals like that, but again, I'd rather us just continue to beat these teams and just to keep the pressure on Liverpool.
I think that's a better position to be in, though, because I think the problem with the expectations of the fans and the players is that when you do drop points in that position, when you're chasing City, every single points drop is the most deflated moment of the season, and the season's over, we've lost the title, which is what we already saw earlier in the season in the kind of conversations around the club, whereas now it actually feels like when you're the chasing team, I think the only way is up, you know. I think whatever happens, you're only ever going to be chasing, and I think that might be a better dynamic for Arsenal to
because what happens is that if they do slip up and you get closer, Kels. Like I remember when we was chasing United in '98. Any little point, it fuels you even more, and then it gives them a little bit more pressure, and then you know what I mean? It was brilliant. But so hopefully they can do that this year.
The way that Arsenal play, it looks like they are very much on the front foot, and they're certainly not being like I was halfway between hampered and hindered is what I was going by any pressure. I don't know which one. Christmas hampered by any pressure. Look, we're absolutely level on points with Arsenal on every single metric. And below them, only on alphabetical order, are Chelsea. And they have to be, if you've been saying that today, they have to be in the conversation.
Without a doubt. And, you know, you're looking at the signings now, the stockpiling. It looks good now, especially when I looked at their bench the other day.
Well, they made 10 changes.
10 changes.
To the game in midweek, which no other team can really do that. And so many times I think
And still play well.
Well, we've sat here and
that was meant to be a problem.
exactly. I think with the narrative with Chelsea has always been too many players, you can't make it work. And now that's completely flipped, and you say, wow, such a big squad. Look at the talent they've got on and the options. And when you looked at what obviously Villa had to deal with coming off the back of midweek and the issues they're having in their form and a bit of a dip, I think the way that Chelsea can fit all those players and make those changes, players playing well, so many attacking options in and around the box, the way that Cole Palmer will have a shot from distance, but everyone will be following him to get the rebounds. As you'll know, Ian, like as a striker, people know they're going to be picking up, and Jackson knows he's going to be picking up scraps everywhere, even when he's not necessarily getting played in. I do think that Chelsea should be viewed in a completely different way now than even a few weeks ago.
I'll tell you what they've done the other day, which was really interesting, Flo, was they played Caicedo right back, and then he went inside and inverted, so then you can still have Lavia and Enzo. And, you know, so in the end, all three of them can come in there. I thought it was really, really good.
Nicholas just doing a great job.
He's doing a great job. And then Nicholas Jackson, like I always thought that he would come good with what he's doing and the way he's, again, that goal, what he scored was a striker in the box who's ready for any opportunity. And you've got wingers who are flying now. It's a massive problem Chelsea are going to be if they continue doing what they're doing, because Cole Palmer being the main protagonist in everything, he just can't be, he's just not flustered with anything. Can you imagine being in the dressing room with him?
He's just so laid back. He was asked if you were in a title race and he went, "No, mate, it's too early."
No, mate, too early, man. That's what he says, too early, man.
That was it.
And you know what I mean? But like, Chelsea are not meant to be nowhere near it. You know what I mean? It's, you know, now they're like only on
exactly the same as Arsenal. Exactly the same.
So they should we should be putting them under pressure as well. They should be very much serious challenge too.
The other thing I would say about Chelsea is that they've improved as the season's gone on. They've certainly improved from last season, but it's the improvement as the season goes on, which seems to be a really good barometer for, you know, if that carries on in that way towards the end of the season.
Yeah, look, and I think as long as that improvement becomes fast, right? Even if you don't start a season well, but you can build quickly, and I think that's what we've seen with Chelsea. Okay, they didn't hit the ground running, but they got into it quickly. They found form. I think if you have a striker like Jackson on form, scoring goals, like the way he finished that first goal, really tricky, big deflection, tucked it away in the corner. And then you've got someone like Cole Palmer picking up. I mean, I don't think he'd had an assist or a goal in 3 games, and that's the narrative that people are now talking about him, that's a big thing, that he hadn't done that. But to then come into this game, assist and a goal, again, his finish, unbelievable. Have 2 players like that in an attacking form, and again, 10 changes. That is incredibly difficult to do. And you know, whether that comes from training or manager, both obviously, but to do that and still keep the performances and keep the connection, momentum going into the season, of course, we can't knock them off at all.
No,
the match is so interesting. Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 0. I didn't expect less. The boys went there and do their job and come out with a flying 3 points. That's what matters. No, Chelsea really performed marvelously. They really performed greatly. They show that they are a team right now. This is what they call a team. They show that they are a team. Now I believe that Chelsea project is taking off. Now I believe that Enzo, the Chelsea coach, is cooking something. Now come to the match. First half 2-0, second half 1-0. In first half, they play well, scoring the 2 goals. The first goal by Jackson. Jackson now is unstoppable, even though he's supposed to score more than 1 goal. But he did well. The second goal is Enzo Fernandez is picking up in form. He's in form right now. 2 matches, 2 goals, and assists. It's a wonderful game today. Enzo step up. Another person again in second half, Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is quiet first half, but that second half he give that wonderful goal. Well, that is the one that assisted Enzo Fernandez in his goal, and now has scored honestly incredible goal. This is what we know Cole Palmer for. He showed up for a big game and he delivered. Even though everybody is complaining about his quietness, and even some people are calling for his head to remove it, but every good player needs just a moment to showcase what they can do. That is honestly, even though they give Cole Palmer man of the match, for me, my man of the match is Caicedo. Caicedo is on another level right now. Caicedo is unstoppable right now. Caicedo is something else right now. Another guy I need to shout out, Cucurella. Cucurella is our best defender in Chelsea right now. He's our best defender. He showed up, he delivered. Always consistency. Cucurella is the most consistent defender Chelsea have right now. But Caicedo playing to inviting midfield, that is incredible. In short, now I see that we have replaced Kante. The guy is up there. He can do undo. The guy is incredible. Honestly, I really enjoy match today. We are there joined together with Arsenal in second. That is kind of news I want to hear. That is kind of things I want to hear. We are coming. Whoever don't care have to care right now. Even Man City, as I'm talking to you right now, Man City is already out of top 4. They lost against Liverpool. That is mean Chelsea is coming. Yeah, they may not win league, but this season top 4 is granted.